This is the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Bill Strickler.
This is your half hour of political power. We have a lot to cover on this week's edition, including Trump tapping. What exactly is Trump tapping, and is it really happening? Europe is now deciding to ban U.S. travelers without visas. We'll tell you why. Also, we'll give you a little bit of an update on immigration. We have a story also about potatoes. Tell me about the potatoes, Bill.
Well, the question has been, will potatoes grow on the moon? So NASA did an experiment in the Peruvian desert, and they came up with results. So we could be on Mars, but at least we'd have something to eat.
And you know what's better than potatoes? I like them fried myself, but they're also good in a salad. I'm a big fan of that. That and a whole lot more. It's always interesting conversations here on the American Roundtable on Tough TV and Tough TV 38.
Welcome back to American Roundtable. So we have a new head of the EPA, Scott Pruitt, that does not believe carbon dioxide has a major impact on global warming, which seems a little strange since that's been the narrative for the last 10, 20 years.
It's not strange. He's a Republican. That's the Republican Party line. There's nothing strange about it. It's a political line. It is, I think there's enough science now built up that says that carbon dioxide and other pollutants have an effect on climate, in addition to other factors as well. So I just think it's them saying, hey, we're Republicans, this is what we say, and this is the way it works.
Yeah, there was actually one comment on the internet that said, this is like the Surgeon General saying cigarettes don't cause cancer, or head of NASA saying the Earth is flat.
It sounds about in that league, I would think. You know, when you look at global warming, to say that global warming is 100% caused by, I think somebody said once that it's caused by sunspots or just cyclical. I mean, there's other evidence that says that it's something else, and I happen to side on the. And you know, I'm no real liberal by any stretch of the imagination. However, on certain issues like that, I mean, when you look at the science, it's pretty obvious. But you know, it's the same thing they did in Florida when Governor Scott said you're not allowed to say global warming in anything literature in the state from now on. You know, it has to do with the administration. Purely a political decision, and I think an incorrect one.
Yeah, this is all about global, the greenhouse effect. And to me, it can't be better with all this carbon dioxide.
No, it's not better. You have rising sea levels, you have melting ice caps. You know, there's arguments on both sides, but if you take a look at the trend, all this stuff has happened from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution through today. I mean, you put 2 and 2 together, you're going to get 4, unless you get 5 like Scott Pruitt. But you know, Scott Pruitt's paid to say this stuff too. You got to remember that.
Well, if you take a look over the last 8 years, has the climate gotten any better? Because there's all kind of strange weather going on. We got blizzards.
This all has to do with this, because what you're doing is you're changing the jet stream. When you change the jet stream, then you're going to have issues throughout not only America and this hemisphere, but the world, you see. So
before Obama was elected, it got so bad no matter what he did with the EPA, it was too far gone. Is that what you're saying?
Still too far gone, and if you consider this new administration's position, it's only going to get worse from here. So, you know, hey, good luck everybody, but that's just the way it works. But we'll have some good news in a moment. Welcome back to the American Roundtable on Tough TV and Tough TV 38. I'm Al Spry. I happen to have a very, very talented young woman who is going to be joining us for today's show. It's Drea. She is from Fort Lauderdale, and she has a unique take on the immigration issue. And Drea, welcome to the American Roundtable.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you. Let's talk about this story. Europe voting to ban U.S. travelers without visas. The European Parliament is proposing that U.S. citizens no longer be able to visit Europe with just a passport. The Parliament's called for a requirement that citizens get visas to visit the European Union. When the European Union is serious about its internal requirement that all member nations receive equal treatment from outside countries, and the U.S. does not allow citizens of European Union members Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Poland, and Romania to enter the U.S. through its visa waiver program. They're saying that, well, we should follow suit. This is different, of course, than the Muslim ban that the U.S. has instituted or trying to institute from certain Muslim countries. So what are your thoughts about this?
I'm okay with it personally, but when was the last time an American went to another country and bombed them?
True. I think a lot of this has been, I can't remember. It's
I
been,
don't know.
been a while.
I've never heard of one.
But, well, World War II, but I mean...
But if they want me to get a visa...
Not since then.
If they want a visa, fine. I'll get a visa. If I'm going to go to Bulgaria, I will get a visa.
Well, I think what we'll do in response will be you'll see less people visiting Europe. So they'll lose money. So I think it's proposed, but I don't think it's going to pass. I think it's just, again, politics and nonsense, which we happen to see a lot of. But here's something that's more prevalent, and I know you wanted to chime in on this. The number of illegal immigrants crossing into the United States from Mexico declined by 40% the first couple months of 2017, according to Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly. The downturn came after President Trump took office on January 20th, vowing to deport many of the estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants here in the United States. The flow of the illegal voter crossings is dropped from 18,000 to from about 31,000 to 18,000. So what's your take on this? How do we solve this thing? What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, if we can just threaten them and drop it by 40%, maybe the wall will drop it another 40%.
I'm thinking that once that wall is built, if it ever does get built, we'll have to see, of course, how that takes shape. But it sounds like it's on track. I think you're going to see, I mean, at least another 40% drop. I mean, there's always going to be people who are able to get in.
Well, they're going to dig tunnels next.
Is that what you think is going to happen?
Well, they already were. The El Chapo, he got away in a tunnel.
That's true.
It's already there.
That's the drug lord El Chapo.
Yeah, he came in a huge tunnel, so it's possible.
I think they've even been digging tunnels in the parts of the border now that exist that have a wall. So I don't, unless they can build that wall as deep as it is high, I think you'll definitely see that as well. Of course, that would solve it, I think, if you made it a deep wall as well as being a high wall.
But maybe it just being there is going to help.
What about the people that are here, though?
I think that we should maybe implement some kind of program to at least document them. I don't want to do their job, that's for sure. So I think we should let them here, but maybe just get a system that we can document them here. They can pay a little service charge or something to be able to work here, and we can at least know who's here.
You know, this is a good idea. I think that we do need immigration reform. I think we've needed it for a while. The last time we did any immigration reform was over 30 years ago with President Reagan, when he basically took a lot of illegal immigrants and made them legal through a process. Of course, now that's just meant that more undocumented immigrants are coming into the country. So this is a pretty tough one in many ways. But in the next segment, we're going to tell you about some programs that some states are doing to try to keep their illegal immigrants from being deported back to Mexico and elsewhere. And I really think we have to solve this problem one way or another, because it's not going to stop on its own. It is going to continue, and we are going to have to deal with it. If not now, it's like kicking the can. Everybody likes to kick the can. But if we don't take care of this now, it's just going to become a bigger and bigger issue, and we're going to have to deal with it at some point. We'll have more on this and other great issues this week on the American Roundtable. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. So, Drea, I really appreciate you coming up from Fort Lauderdale to do the show with us here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're taking a look at a little bit of illegal immigration and what can be done about it. What is happening on the street? Well, there are illegal immigrants, undocumented workers, however you want to put it. It's all the same thing, basically. They're being told, don't open the front door if immigration officials knock. If you're taken into custody, tell them your name and nothing else. Definitely don't sign anything. That's some of the advice being given in New York City and around the U.S. At training sessions, which are being put on by advocacy organizations. And this is being is aimed at helping immigrants living in the U.S. illegally get in as little trouble as possible if they encounter U.S. immigration and customs enforcement officials. It's called Know Your Rights training. The sessions, what rights? They're illegal immigrants.
Wait
Number
a minute.
one,
How,
they're not citizens.
They're having groups to teach people how to break the United States law?
Correct. This is what,
How is that
I'm
legal?
hearing. I don't know. I don't know how it's legal. It sounds very suspect to me.
And
but-
how can these people find all the illegals and we can't?
Right. How do they
How
find
do they
them?
have groups?
And wait,
They
why
just all
can't-
meet together? Can't we go there?
Why can't the immigration officials just go to the groups and round
Meeting,
everybody
exactly.
up?
It's like one bird, with one stone.
Well, this is called Know Your Rights training. The sessions have
They
been
don't
pushed
have
by
any
some
rights.
groups. Exactly, as a way to prepare for a possible crackdown on illegal immigration under Donald Trump. Similar trainings are scheduled in New Mexico and El Paso. Why New York City? Maybe a lot of illegal immigrants end up in New York City. The idea, organizers said, is to give immigrants guidance on how to legitimately push back against attempts to detain them, mostly using tactics designed to keep agents from learning anything they don't already know. The government cannot deport someone unless they can prove they're in the U.S. illegally. So I guess they say just don't cooperate. But to me, that's breaking the law.
How can you not cooperate?
I mean,
if an
it's law,
officer
right?
shows up at your door, you're almost going to have to cooperate. You
I would
can't.
think.
Otherwise, they're just going to come back anyways. You can't not. So I'm surprised that they have groups that are teaching this.
Yeah, it's like Yuritsa Mendez. She's an outreach coordinator in the pro-immigrant advocacy group called Make the Road New York. She spoke about various ways ICE agents, that's immigration agents, can find a person and what to do if they come knocking. Even people in the country illegally have constitutional rights, Mendez said, such as not being subjected to unreasonable searches and seizures, not answering questions, and not signing any documents without speaking with an attorney. I don't know
like
about
this is
that.
how Al-Qaeda hides.
I really, yeah, I mean,
It sounds like the same type of thing.
I'm trying to think that if they have constitutional rights, then so do terrorists, and that means that nobody has to answer any questions. To me, that whole thing sounds completely absurd. If you're a U.S. citizen, you have rights. I don't understand why you would have rights if you're not a U.S. citizen. That would be me like me conducting illegal activities in Mexico or Europe and then just not saying anything when being questioned.
And that would be like me running an organization to teach people how to commit crimes.
See, me, it doesn't sound legal to me.
It can't
It's
be.
pretty ridiculous.
It can't be. There's no way.
It says plan for the worst. They teach people parents in danger of being detained should have paperwork in place to have someone look after their children instead of scrambling to find someone in an emergency. Most of the people in the audience were immigrants in the country illegally, but they were also people like Pascalina Chirinos, a permanent resident from Venezuela. But if you're a permanent resident, they can't really kick you out anyway.
Yeah,
so.
no. But she's just leading the group.
It says, in reality, all of us are afraid. The air we breathe is very tense. And so
they don't like it here. Can't they go back home? They're complaining. They're afraid. Go home then.
Yeah, I guess people really want to still be here. And I really do, at the end of the day, think that we should put something in place for people to become legal as long as they haven't committed crimes and as long as they're paying
Or
their
at least
way.
something to document them and charge them to be here.
Right.
But they're here anyway.
Some type of fee.
Yeah, like just a service charge or something.
Something.
Where they could at least work here.
I like your thoughts, Drea, and we'll have more for you here on the American Roundtable on Tough TV and the Tough TV Network. It's your half hour of political power. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry. And this, of course, is Drea Dahl from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We filmed this show in Orlando. She drove all the way up to do our show this week, and we're very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Well, listen to this one. Americans are having sex less than they did 20 years ago. That's right, they're up all night, but guess what they're doing? They're playing Candy Crush. A new study of 26,000 adults reveals that in the current decade, the one we're in right now, Americans are having sex 9 fewer times per year than they did 20 years ago. The decline was seen across gender, race, religion, education, employment, and relationship status, all across the board. Less sex. What do you think of that?
I have a couple different problems with it. Who keeps track of it like this that 9 times less a year?
Well, they interviewed 26,000 adults, so then they're saying we're having less sex.
I don't know. I would think it would be more with all the opportunities.
But listen to
Tinder,
this. Listen to this, though. Researchers
blue pills.
are linking the dry spell to hectic lifestyles, right? Everybody's a little bit busier now, and the presence of smartphones and laptops in the bedroom,
They don't need a live connection. They have their smartphone in the bedroom.
as well as an uptick in the use of libido-killing antidepressants. Remember, when you take those antidepressants, you don't want to have sex. You know? I mean, you're less depressed,
Guys
but then
are
you
gonna
get
have to
depressed over
stop
not having
trying
sex.
to Stop driving women to take antidepressants.
Yeah, no kidding. In fact, I have a massage therapist that I'm not going to anymore because her whole personality kind of changed on the antidepressants.
That's
you know?
a whole nother show. the
Yeah, exactly.
antidepressants.
We can do a whole show on antidepressants.
I mean, I don't know if it depends. They have to count virtual sex in this, and I think the numbers are going to change.
I think if you count virtual sex, it'll be different. But I
In what
think they're
way?
talking about just doing the old-fashioned kind.
I know, but the old fashioned's not working with millennials.
Well, we need to get
It's
these.
about
We need to
virtuals.
teach millennials better, don't we, Drea?
I know, but what are you going to do? I mean, we have 40-year-olds still living with their parents.
Yeah, and that's a problem. You know, people
Why
need to
would they
get
come
out.
to work?
People need to live. People need to do what's right. People need to show that they're growing. I mean, if life is about two things: growth and giving back. It's about service and personal growth and development. That's the only thing life is really about. It's not about making a buck. It's not about, going against your neighbor. It's about helping and growing and helping. And so to me, when you're not touching another person, when you're not in contact, when you're not having times with another person, this is how you're going to grow. How are you going to grow? You're not. So we say, have more sex, meet people, get out there, live. It's a short life. More in a moment.
Welcome back to American Roundtable. I'm Bill Strickler.
And I'm Al Spry. It was great to have Drea Dahl in, adding a little bit of the feminine to the broadcast. We always like that.
It's tough to follow her. I'm not the kind of doll that she is.
No, she's quite a doll, and we really appreciated her coming in and giving her 2 cents worth because
Yeah.
she's awesome. She's
It's
very
good
smart.
to get a different perspective. We're
I'll-
a couple old fogies, as Doug would say.
Speak for yourself. But it's always nice to get another perspective of a beautiful girl. So now we're talking about potatoes, from Drea Dahl to potatoes. What a switch!
Yeah, what a drop off. So NASA's been conducted a test in the Peruvian desert because the soil there appears to be very similar to Mars. And they found that potatoes would grow in Peru, which basically is saying they'll grow on Mars. Now, the interesting thing about potatoes is like a life-giving plant, I guess you can say, tubular plant. Because what used to happen is different clans or different societies, they would plant potatoes when intruders were coming, because potatoes grow underground. Mm-hmm. So if marauders were coming in or another army, they couldn't destroy the plants because they couldn't find them. So it actually, probably all of us are here in one way or another because of potatoes.
Well, and potatoes, of course, kept the Irish alive. The only thing that sent them off of Ireland was the potato famine back in the 1840s and 50s. And so potato is it's one of those nutritious foods that can keep you going. You get potatoes and some water, you're good to go for a long time.
Right, and they found out that the potatoes would actually start growing within a week. So that's great. Now, another thing is we're in the worst worldwide famine since World War II.
Why is this?
That we got 20 million people that are starving. And it's basically, when you look at the countries, there's certain places in Africa that people aren't, they're dying. And a lot of a particular terrorist group would go in and steal all the food that's being sent over there. They keep the food, and the humanitarian food would end up with them and not get to the people that really needed it.
Yeah, well, obviously we're going to have this challenge as the population grows, but they're also finding more efficient ways to feed people, like you just said. And as technology improves, I'm very hopeful in that we will be able to feed more of these folks. And so I like to keep positive on that. Well, we've run out of time. It's another edition of the American Roundtable. Your half-hour political power. I'm Al Spry.
I'm Bill Strickler.
Keep it real.
And keep it tough.